Katie, what are the four pillars of strategic leadership you teach now? And how do they change how someone is seen in the room?
So I created this framework. The sort of I picture it like a pyramid
Mhm.
where the foundation is your expertise. On top of that, you have strategic insights. Up from there is judgment. That is demonstrating sound judgment, demonstrating that you're making the right calls most of the time. And then on top is framing.
And my next one is like, what red flags should women look out for when assessing if they are in the right room?
If I look at all the things I do in my role today, how many of them energize me and make me feel great and I feel like I'm crushing it? How many of the things that am I doing on a regular basis that feel like, like pulling teeth? Like I don't like doing it. It's not fun. I'm not that good at it. And if you make that list,
Mhm.
it's probably going to become pretty
Wonderful.
obvious.
And Katie, you have said like women don't usually have a skills problem, but a perception problem. Can you unpack that for our audience? So, folks, you have tuned into TGV and hearty welcome to the Guiding Voice podcast series, the world's only quadrilingual podcast at this moment of recording. And we are trying to embark into multiple languages as we speak. And here we embark on transformative conversations for a better future. And we want to simplify and amplify your journey to success. I'm your host, Naveen Samala, dedicated to making the world a better place by bringing you wisdom through valuable discussions with experts designed to simplify and amplify your success. And thank you so much for tuning in. So, folks, we are joined by Katy McFee. She's an executive coach and founder of Insights to Action, where she helps high performing women break through the director to VP ceiling. And she has over 18 years in biotech and tech, driving 9-figure growth. And Katie learned that success is not just about performance, it's about perception. And today, she empowers women to master executive presence, own their value, and step into the leadership roles they have earned. They have earned. Underline it. All right. So, first of all, Katie, hearty welcome to the Guiding Voice podcast series. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great. Thank you so much for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Yeah, same here. And before we get into the first rapid fire round, why do you think our audience should tune into our podcast and spend 30-35 minutes with us?
Yeah, well, I've seen a lot of people get stuck in that
Mm-hmm.
senior director level in their career. And I always joke that I've thought about this more than anyone on the planet. Like I've really thought about what does it take to get to the next level. So if you're a woman, but even if you're not, and you're feeling a little stuck, if you know you want to be an executive, I think we're going to be able to share a lot of really useful information today.
Yeah. I'll be the first consumer of this particular podcast channel because I have a day job and I'm able to get there.
This is for you.
All right. So, folks, today we are going to have a conversation on a very interesting topic breaking the VP ceiling and Katy McFee on cracking the leadership code. But before we get into the topic, here is an exciting twist. As always, let us tickle our guest brain first. So, Katie, get ready for a rapid fire round of random words. I'll mention a few, and I would love to hear the first thing that comes to your mind in response without thinking much. And if you're ready, let's get the ball rolling.
Let's do it.
Okay, my first word is curiosity,
Leadership superpower.
invention,
Constant.
future,
Hopeful.
universe,
Aligned.
leadership,
Gap.
success,
Freedom.
book,
My next chapter.
aliens.
Yes.
Role model.
Role model. Crucial.
Okay, last one is life.
Joy.
Wow. Simply superb. I loved all your responses. So crisp and clear. And thank you so much for participating in the first rapid fire round so sportively. There is one more rapid fire round toward the end of the episode. So stay tuned. And Katie, hearty welcome once again. And thank you so much for being part of our journey in shaping the careers and lives of millions across the globe. So let's get into the mainstream conversation. So share with us who is your guiding voice.
My guiding voice is my own sort of inner knowing, right? I think
Mm.
it took me a lot of years to realize that, by the way, but I would say that now I really trust my
Mhm.
own, inner knowing in terms of what direction I want to take, what decisions I want to make. And so that has absolutely become my guiding voice.
Wow. And share your success mantra as in top three things that have contributed to your success so far.
First one I would say is bias for action. I
Hmm.
think if you're someone who's willing to just do things and try things, that is going to have a significant impact on your success. And I always think that's one of the things that has made me so successful. The second one has been learning from others. I will say finding people who have done the thing you want to do and then getting their help. That could mean mentorship. That could mean hiring them. That could mean a peer group. It could mean so many things. But I think oftentimes we think we need to reinvent the wheel. We need to figure it out on our own. I'm like, don't do that. There's so many smart people who have done the thing you want to do. Like, this is the best cheat code. Learn from them. And I would say the third has been the mindset shift of really believing, why not me? Like, I can do whatever I want to do. If somebody else is doing it, why can I not do it? And I think that the mindset piece keeps us stuck
Hmm.
oftentimes because we don't believe that we are as special or as smart or as good as other people that we see who are successful. And I've come to realize that's just not true. You
Right.
want to do something, you can do it. So long as you're willing to get help, take intentional action, you can really achieve anything you want to achieve.
Hmm. Yeah. Got it. So mindset plays a critical role, I think. Yeah. Wonderful. And Katie, you have said like women don't usually have a skills problem, but a
Mm,
perception problem. Can you unpack that for our audience?
absolutely. This has been one of the biggest realizations I have had,
Hmm.
where if I think about my own personal story, I was a director for 5 years trying to land a VP role unsuccessfully for those 5 years.
Hmm.
And many times we hear women don't advocate for themselves. I was advocating for myself. I was like, make me a VP. And it wasn't working. And later on, as I grew and got better and eventually landed a VP role and then an EVP role, and I was looking back on that time, one of the things I realized was that I had strategic ideas. So the feedback I always got was, you're not strategic enough, or you're not there yet. And when I
Hmm.
thought back, I had strategic ideas. I was thinking strategically. What I was not yet good at was communicating in a way that was
Hmm.
demonstrating my strategic value and my impact to the people around me. And I noticed this when I looked back on my own journey, but I also saw it in a lot of people and women around me, where working super hard, doing all the things, right? Um, Probably working too hard, probably doing a little too much, actual execution work, but not spending enough time really thinking intentionally about, how am I showing up? How
Hmm.
am I communicating? Like, how am I like doing my own internal PR at this company,
Hmm.
right? Where I'm focused on the way people look at me. And as a result, what can happen is that you have lots of people who are ready, but leadership, maybe their manager, maybe the rest of the leadership team, has a perception that they are not ready. And when we focus on dealing with this perception problem, that is often the thing that you need to work on to get unstuck. And it comes down to things like communication style, to creating visibility into your work, all, creating, building relationships with the right key stakeholders in your organization. All of
Hmm.
this type of, non-work work really is contributes to the how you're perceived as a leader.
Hmm. Right. And also, why do these corporate leaders struggle to explain what is missing when they pass women over for promotions? Why does it happen actually?
Yeah, that's a really good question. I was literally just thinking about this and writing a post about it before we got
Mm-hmm.
on this call. I think for me, when I was getting this vague feedback, like you need to be more strategic and not getting really actionable next steps that I could implement, I found this very frustrating. And initially I felt like, why doesn't my boss want to tell me? Right? That's what we sort of think. Like, why are they gatekeeping this secret? When what I've come to learn over time is that oftentimes they don't know. If you think about people in leadership, like, so some people have been really strategic about how they've moved into leadership. Some individuals, especially if you think about people who have perhaps, been born into more privilege, right? Maybe they had connections. Maybe we know that women and people of color have a harder time getting into senior leadership roles, right? Where we have to prove it instead of just
Mm-hmm.
being, promoted based on um, potential. And so sometimes you see people who end up in leadership who actually don't totally know how they got there, right? They might have had a mentor or a sponsor who kind of took them by the hand and taught them what they needed to know. But because they have never gone through the struggle of having to figure it out, they've actually never really synthesized what are the things I need to see. And I'm always like, it's hard to teach what you don't know. So when I thought back and I thought about some of the feedback or lack of feedback I had received in my career, I realized some of these guys just didn't know. I don't think they knew exactly what to tell me. And if you're in that kind of situation, you can be annoyed about it, or you can be frustrated about it. But what else you can do about it is you can actually take action. You can go find somebody who does know. And I think if
Mm-hmm.
you're relying solely on your boss to be your one mentor in this world, that's a mistake, right?
Yeah.
You need to think about who else can help me learn this. If I can't find it inside my company, maybe I'm going to go find it outside my company. Um, but yeah, that's been the big thing I've learned is oftentimes if you're not receiving that feedback, the person just might not know what to tell you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I think that's a powerful one. And Katie, what are the four pillars of strategic leadership you teach now? And how do they change how someone is seen in the room?
Yeah. Yeah, I created this framework around strategic leadership because when I was trying to fill this gap for myself, I couldn't find
Mm-hmm.
anything out there. I couldn't find anything that was helpful. I could find books about like creating a strategy. I couldn't find anything about developing yourself as a strategic leader. Like it's nuanced, but I think that it matters. So I created this framework. The sort of I picture it like a pyramid
Mm-hmm.
where the foundation is your expertise. You need to have
Okay.
some kind of expertise in order to do the rest. Now, probably everyone listening to this has some form of expertise. Unless this is your first job ever and you've never done anything in your life, maybe then now you have to develop your expertise. But chances are, if you're in middle management or if you've been in your career for any period of time, you have some expertise. Might be domain, it might be your craft, right? Um, on top of that, you have strategic insights. This is where you develop your ability to bring forward important insights, important observations that are going to help the business. Up from there is judgment. That is demonstrating sound judgment, demonstrating that you're making the right calls most of the time. And then on top is framing. And that is the way that you
Mm-hmm.
communicate all of this great stuff to the people around us or around you. And the reason that this impacts this helps you both develop as a strategic leader. So this helps you determine how should I be spending my time? What are the things that really matter? And it also helps you demonstrate that leadership impact to the people around you. So I'll just take insights as an example, because I mean, this framework, I unpack this with my group when I run a group program for women who want to be VPs. I take 2, 3 sessions just unpacking this. So it's a
Mm-hmm.
lot of information that we can't get to today. But if you just think about insights as one example, being the person who can bring forward an insight like, hey, I'm noticing our data looks like this. I dug into it, and this is why. This is the trend we're seeing in the market, or this is the change that we created that is, contributing to this. And this is what I think we can do about it to create more growth or to reduce churn or risk or whatever. Think how much value you're now bringing as a leader. And most people totally miss out on this. They just report their metrics and that's it. And I'm like, stop reporting metrics. Start reporting insights. And if you
Mm-hmm.
just do that one change, people will see you differently as a leader.
Yeah. That makes
Yeah.
sense, actually. Like, I think distilling the content in such a way that somebody can make decisions that is going to help a lot. And you mentioned like you were stuck at director role for about 5 years and you experienced this thing for the first hand. So what was the turning point that helped you shift your perception and land your first VP role?
I was trying to like, what is the one turning point? I mean, the big thing for me, I think, was recognizing that once I slowed down, like
Mm-hmm.
once I start to take time to think about how am I presenting information in this meeting or how am I communicating this in a way that lands, how different the result was. I would say that that was really the insight that I had. And that might sound crazy because like maybe people listening are like, what do you mean you didn't prep for meetings? I didn't prep for anything. I was someone I was always really good at like winging it. I was in sales. I had always done well in school. I was not a great student. I didn't study a lot. And so when I got into the workforce and I was in a technical sales role, my background is science.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I found that if I understood the stuff, I didn't really have to do a lot of preparation, right? I would just show up and talk, and generally things worked out. What I noticed was when you hit a certain point in leadership, if you are being reactive, and by that I mean like you're going meeting to meeting all day long, you're stuck in execution work all the time, and you're not taking that step back to like do strategic thinking, to stop and be like, I'm going to really dig into what are the things that really matter? What are the goals? Like, should we be solving them? Are we even doing the right things? you're you're never gonna get there. Like it's I always say like you're never gonna have a strategic insight in the 5 minutes between Zoom meetings. It's impossible,
Mm-hmm.
right? So
Yeah.
that was the big thing for me was just recognizing I need to carve out thinking time. And actually
Mm-hmm.
not just should I not feel guilty about that? Like it is actually probably the most important thing I can do as a leader. So that shift was really turned things around for me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Good one. And I'm sure audience might be interested in this question. Like, how can someone tell if their company culture will never promote them, no matter how good they are?
Mm. Oh, it's such a juicy question. I get asked this a lot. I actually get asked this a lot by the women who come work with me.
Mm-hmm.
What I always say is the first step is you need to start showing up differently. Okay. You need to start showing up differently. And then you'll know pretty quick whether people are willing to shift their perception of you. Because
Mm-hmm.
people, right now, like it or not, people have created perceptions about us, right? Like they just have. And the real, you know, defining sort of piece is whether the people in leadership, whether the people who have the influence to promote you, are they open-minded enough to see you in a new way?
Mm-hmm.
Another clue, if people are just sitting there and they're like, I'm just really curious if my company would ever, you can also just look at what your leadership team looks like. I mean, if you're a woman and there are no women on your entire senior leadership team, you might say, based on evidence, it's unlikely. It's unlikely. It doesn't mean it's never gonna happen. I've been the
Yeah.
only woman at the table in multiple companies, okay? So you can get there as the only woman. But if you notice that there's diversity on your leadership team, I think that's a really good sign. That's a really good piece of evidence. But like I said, the second thing is to just start showing up as a leader you wanna be. Start showing up as the best version of yourself. Maybe communicate to your leader, "Hey, I'm doing some executive coaching right now, or I'm doing some work on showing up as a more impactful leader, like give them that opportunity to start noticing. And then you will see pretty quickly whether as you're showing up in this new way, are they
Mm-hmm.
receptive to that or are they not? And I remember in one of the roles I was in, it kind of hit me one day. I thought to myself, it's never going to happen for me here. Like I just kind of knew in my gut.
Right.
Like I think we often know. And it's a hard realization, but it's good to know the truth. So
Yeah.
yeah, I think you kinda have to ask yourself too, like, what is the behavior around me showing me?
Mm-hmm. And I'm not sure if any of your clients have come across this scenario, but this is a question I have been, question this has been lingering on my mind for quite a long time. So, especially if you're working in an organization which is not doing well financially, right? In that situation, how would you ask for a promotion and go to the next level? Because it gets so difficult, right, by looking at the situation and all. And though we have that particular urge in terms of moving to next level, but situations constrain us.
Yeah.
What's your take?
So I've been thinking about, yeah, how can you present this in a way that is good for the organization and good for you?
Yeah, yeah.
Whenever someone talks about, I want to get promoted or I want to take on this additional, team or do whatever, we feel like our boss is going to think like, you're only doing this for you.
Mm.
But you can present this in a way that is good for you and good for the organization. I'm always like, think of it like a business case. How
Mm-hmm.
can you present this in a way that they're like, oh my gosh, this makes absolute sense? Because I'm just going to say this. I don't care how your organization is doing from a finance perspective.
Mm-hmm.
People at the top are getting paid.
Yeah, yeah.
People are getting paid. Like, you
True.
know, you hear this all the time in the news. Such and such organization did all these layoffs, and then their CEO was on a private jet or whatever. Like, we hear this all the time. And it's true. It's like, organizations are going to make financial decisions. Sometimes it might include layoffs. Sometimes it might include creating constraints or whatever. But they will spend on the things that they see value in. So
Mm.
it's like, can you create an obvious business case where you are demonstrating that value so they believe it's a good idea? I would also think about if there is truly like constraints that they cannot get beyond, right?
Mm.
I would think, what else is important to me? So, for example, maybe your boss says to you, my hands are tied in this budget. We can't do any merit increases.
Yeah.
Well, that doesn't mean they can't do anything. Can you get a title bump? Can you
Mm.
get create a success bonus based on
Mm-hmm.
hitting certain metrics where if the company hits those metrics, guess what? They are now at a new level of success and maybe you can share in part of that success. So I'm a big fan of getting creative. And
Mm-hmm.
like, just because there's no budget here, that doesn't mean they can't do something for you. It's really about getting curious and getting
Yeah,
creative about like, how can we create something that's going to be a win-win for both of us?
yeah. So as we speak, one more question popped up in my mind. Let's assume my boss is at VP level and I'm at senior director level, and my next move logically is VP. Right? Unless and until my boss gets to SVP, I'll not be able to get promoted to VP. Right? How would we
Mhm.
deal with this kind of situation?
Yeah, that's such a good one too. I've been there. I would look at so you can look at a couple things. Depending on the nature of your organization, sometimes there's opportunities to move into other departments, right? There might be like if there's different cross-functional opportunities that could make sense, that's absolutely something you could explore, which is
Hmm.
why I always tell people, don't put all of your eggs in the basket of your manager. You should be
Mm.
creating relationships with the rest of leadership as well, because
Yeah,
you never know what's going to come up. And if they see your value, someone might tap you and be like, hey, Naveen, why don't you come work for my department over here?
yeah,
We need a new VP or whatever, right?
yeah, yeah.
So I think that is a really good idea. The other thing you can do is you can align your interests with your boss's interests.
Mm.
Like you can have, I've worked with clients where they did this really well, where they would essentially partner with their boss, where their boss is transparent. I want to be an SVP. They're like, oh, great, I want to be a VP, and they would say like, hey, how can I help you achieve your goals? What does it look like for you to move into an SVP role, and how can I contribute to your success? They would actually work on this together. And then as their boss was promoted, they're bringing them right along with them. So those are a couple of things that you can consider. Um, if if that doesn't work, let's say your boss, let's say you were unable to create that kind of relationship with your boss, maybe they're not forthcoming and there's just no possibility there. Let's say there's no other opportunity in your
Hmm.
organization. Um, I would be thinking about, okay, what is more important to me? Getting promoted here or getting the title, whether it means staying here or going somewhere else? Or am I really happy here? Am I still growing here? Right? Because sometimes what you can do as well is you can negotiate increasing your scope, even if it doesn't include a promotion right now, but that's going to set you up for the next thing. Like again, this all comes down to being creative. Same
Mm.
sort of answer. Uh, Another thing that I've helped clients successfully do is they end up creating a brand new position that didn't exist
Hmm.
before. So maybe you
Wow.
have a really unique skill set, a really unique value that you bring to the organization. There's no VP of whatever strategic, whatever right now, strategic operations. There's no VP of
Mm.
business development. There's no VP, right? Because oftentimes there are roles that exist out there that your organization may not have. If you can create a really strong business case for the creation of that role and why you are the person who should sit in it, I have helped women do that successfully as well. And so long as your company sees the value, then that's absolutely another path for you.
Yeah, excellent. Loved all the insights. And my next one is like, what red flags should women look out for when assessing if they are in the right room?
Hmm. Assessing if they're in the right role right now.
Yeah, yeah, that's right.
Yeah. Um, to me, it has a lot to do with how you're feeling in the role and how easy it is for you to create the impact you want to have. And I'll
Hmm.
unpack that for a second. When I think about my own experience when I was in my director role, because of like the stage of company, the type of work we had to do, we were very early. Like we were still figuring out product market fit. We were like trying to figure out what the sales cycle was going to be, all of these things, which meant I had to do market research and write up reports. And I had to do all these things that were not in my wheelhouse. That is not
Hmm.
the stuff I'm good at. And so as a result, work felt really hard. And I kind of sucked at a lot of the stuff I was doing, if I'm honest. When I moved into my VP role, I was at a company stage where we had product market fit, we had leads coming in. They needed someone who was going to create great culture, hire the right team, you know, set it up well, right? Set up the right sort of organizational structure, and really understand what, in looking at the data, what levers do we need to pull in order to really like accelerate this growth, really pour the growth on or pour the gas on our success. That's something I'm really good at. So what I noticed when I stepped into my VP role is work felt easier. So the goals were bigger. The goals I had to achieve were way bigger and scarier, but work felt easier. It was way more fun and I was better at it. So
Hmm.
I think if you can do a sort of assessment in terms of one, like what is my energy like? If I look at all the things I do in my role today, how many of them energize me and make me feel great and I feel like I'm crushing it? How many of the things that am I doing on a regular basis that feel like, like pulling teeth? Like I don't like doing it. It's not fun. I'm not that good at it. And if you make that list,
Hmm.
it's probably going to become pretty obvious to you.
Yeah. Okay.
Mhm.
Got it. And again, one more question, which probably might be lingering in many people's minds. Like, what's your advice for someone who knows they are in the wrong environment, but they feel trapped either financially, emotionally, or career wise, or probably market situation is not good? Anything.
Mhm. 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 Yeah, I mean that happens. Like I was a single mom when I was in the role that I was in when I was struggling. Um, actually, I've been in more than one role where I was perhaps unhappy. I was maybe struggling. And it was not an option for me to just quit and like enjoy some time off as I figured out what was next. Like I had to pay the bills, like we had to eat. So I recognize a lot of people are in that situation. It's not always possible to just leave. So I would be thinking about a couple things. I would be thinking about how am I protecting my energy in my current role? So how am I ensuring that I have good boundaries, that I'm creating maybe healthy routines outside of work, right? That I'm not allowing maybe the stress or the unhappiness of work to like creep into the rest of my life. I get it, easier said than done, but I would focus on that. And then I would say, how can I carve out a little bit of time every single day to work towards what's next for me? That might
Mm.
mean you need to upskill, maybe you need to hire someone, maybe you need to start networking better. Like in this environment, in this sort of job search environment, we know that blindly applying online doesn't really work right now. It's not a
Yeah.
good strategy. So don't go hammer out 100 applications on LinkedIn. Instead, put some intentional effort and time into keeping your existing network and increasing
Yeah.
that, like leveraging new connections and meeting new people and start to work towards that in a way is as we start to take action, if you are taking action and you are acting with intention, like things will come to you,
Right.
right? And just power of taking action will probably make you feel a little better.
Hmm.
Like if you're
Hmm.
feeling trapped and not very happy, knowing you're doing something about it, even if the result hasn't happened yet, even if you haven't landed that next role, you're going to start to feel like a new energy. So that's
Yeah.
what I would do.
Okay. Got it. And then that's a good one again. And you teach people executive presence and communication with authority, right? So debunk one myth about executive presence. Okay, that needs to be busted.
Mm. The myth that needs to be busted is that you either have it or you don't.
Yeah.
It is that's so wrong. Like, executive presence is not a magic thing that if you're a good leader, you're going to have it. Executive presence is, very simply said, a set of behaviors and traits that create the perception that you're leadership material. When you break it down, that's all it is. And it's stuff like, do you seem confident? Are you communicating in a way that's effectively? Are you demonstrating that you know how to use your time? Are you creating connection with the right people, right? Like, it's stuff that actually everyone can do and learn.
Yeah.
So I that's one myth that I am passionate about busting, is the belief that, like, oh, only special people have this. No, no, no. I don't care who you are. If you want to develop this, you can do it. Anyone can develop this. It's very learnable stuff.
Hmm. Yeah. Got it. And Katie, this has been an incredible conversation, which is going to help our audience immensely. And it's time for us to add some more spice and excitement to the episode, which means it brings us to the second rapid fire round. Okay, if you're ready, let's get started.
I'm ready.
Okay, and here comes my first bullet out of second rapid fire round. If you could have one gigantic billboard anywhere with anything on it, what would it say?
More women promoted. And I'll tell you why, because that's the name of my podcast, More Women
Uh-huh.
Promoted. And that's also my mission in life.
Wow,
It's both.
I love it. And can you describe yourself in just one word?
Passionate.
Passionate. The most common career mistake that women make.
Getting stuck in being a doer instead of a leader.
Mhm. A misconception about women in leadership you would love to bust.
That we don't help one another. That
Mhm.
women don't lift each other up and help each other. That they're all
Mhm.
catty. Not true.
Yeah. And one word people would use to describe you in the boardroom.
Insightful.
Amazing. And the best piece of advice you have ignored.
I don't think I've ignored good advice. I've got,
All right.
I've got most of the advice I've ignored has been bad advice. Like, take a step back from your career, right? You should be at home with your kids.
Yeah, a good one. I loved it. And then here comes the last one for the second rapid fire. What is one electronic gadget or a fantasy gadget that you like to see or invent yourself?
Ooh. I would love a health tracker that
Mm-hmm.
can automatically track even, like, what you're eating and
Mm,
all of the macros and everything else, and give you, so that along with your activity, along with all of your health metrics, and give you personalized guidance on improving your
mm,
health. I think that'd be
mm.
cool. Someone go do that.
Quite interesting. And we already have first and second customer here. Super.
Exactly.
Super. I loved all the responses. And again, let's flip back to the mainstream. So, Kitty, what advice do you give to young professionals who want to start building their leadership brand early?
Hmm. My feeling is, early in your career, you are in a season of yes. Okay. So
Yeah.
if you are early in your career, you don't have much expertise. You don't have, like, uh, it's true, you don't have major skills. And so I think early in your career, you want to be dependable, reliable, hard. You want to do lots of work. You want to work hard. You want to do it well. That is your currency, right? That is really your leverage in that point of your career. It's being the person who's like, I'll take that extra project right away, get there 15 minutes early, like, do all of those things. And then once you hit a point in your career, I'm going to say probably around the director level, you actually need to move into a season of no. You need to be thinking about, what is the highest leverage stuff I can be doing with my time, right? And oftentimes that does not mean pumping out more work and being really busy and being, the reliable person that just puts up their hand for everything. You want to start to become more intentional and strategic about how you're spending your time. But I find that because we talk about this concept a lot, people early in their career get confused and they're like, I should be saying no to everything. I'm like, no, no,
Yep.
no, no,
Yep.
not yet. Like early in your career, I actually think you need to be saying yes and showing that like you are that person who can be who everyone's like, oh, give it to them. Give it to this person. They're amazing. So yeah, that would be the big piece of advice that I would give to people if they're earlier on.
I loved it. And this has been awesome conversation. And thank you so much for all the valuable insights. And how is your experience being hosted on the Guiding Voice podcast?
This was so fun. I loved it. I was a little afraid of the idea of rapid fire, but it was fun.
Yeah, it is just to get to know the other side of you. And we got to know about it. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
And looking forward to hosting you again in the future. And I wish you all the best in everything that you do. Thank you so much, Katie. And
Thank you so much. This was
yeah.
amazing.
So, friends, that was our episode with Katy McFee. Before we jump into the fun trivia section, we have a quick request. If you have enjoyed the conversation and found it useful, request you to share with at least three of your friends, or colleagues, or family members who would also like TGV, the guiding voice, to spread the knowledge and help others grow just like you. And now it's time for us to cruise into the trivia segment. Having had amazing conversation with Katy McFee on how to break the ceiling from director to VP and above, I thought of presenting you few lesser known and interesting trivia bites around women, leadership, and also executive presence. So first one is Harvard research found that executive presence accounts for more than 25% of what it takes to get promoted, and it has little to do with performance metrics. Second fact is that did you know that women hold just about 10% of Fortune 500 CEO roles as of 2023? Yet, studies show companies with women in leadership often outperform their peers in profitability and innovation. And the last fact is that in the 1970s, women made up only 11% of the US labor force in management roles. Today, that number is over 40%, but representation at the VP and C suite level is still disproportionately low. So, do let me know, why do you think the number is so low? If you're watching this episode on YouTube, you can comment there. If you found it on Spotify, you can comment there as well. So, folks, that's it for today. Thank you so much for tuning in and also for being part of our awesome TGV family. So, until next time, take care, stay inspired, and remember, the best is yet to come. Goodbye for now. See you all in the next episode with another amazing guest. Take care. Love you all. Bye bye.